beyond the reach of the U.S. government. It's perfectly legal and a lot easier than you think. I know you probably don't believe me when I tell you that the U.S. government is going to implement policies to save itself, which are unimaginable right now. But remember, desperate governments will do very desperate things. That's why they outlawed the ownership of gold 80 years ago. That's why they are already talking about nationalizing automatic 401k and retirement plans, and why it might soon be against the law to open a foreign bank account or to move your money overseas without paying outrageous taxes. The good news is, I met recently with a man who is considered one of the top asset protection attorneys in America. I learned that there are 4 simple investments you can make right now which you do not have to report to the U.S. government. Don't get me wrong. When and if you ever sell these things years down the road, you are still required to pay taxes on your gains. But the great thing is, while you are holding these investments, so long as you play by the rules, neither you nor anyone else is required to report them to the government. This benefit should be obvious. The less the government knows about where you have your money, the better. They simply will have a very hard time taking what they don't know you have. I am personally putting a fairly significant portion of my portfolio into one of these assets. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm doing here in this video, but I will explain everything in full detail in my new report called The 4 Investment Assets You Do Not Have to Report to the U.S. Government, and I will gladly send you a copy free of charge. In addition to explaining how I'm protecting my own money, I'll show you 3 other places you can put your money which you legally do not have to report to the U.S. government. Of course, normally, it would cost you thousands of dollars to meet with this asset protection attorney and to take advantage of his best strategies. But I'll reveal everything you need to know to get started in this report. Plus, I'd like to send you the information on the second step you should take to protect yourself. That is, step number 2, how to acquire the world's safest assets, which are likely to perform best during this period. What I'm talking about here is buying as much gold and silver as you can reasonably afford. I know gold has had a huge run, jumping more than 300% in the past decade. But believe me, when the U.S. dollar loses its status as the world's reserve currency, this early run is going to be a mere afterthought. I will be surprised if gold does not reach $5,000 or $6,000 an ounce in the next few years. The smartest money managers in the world, people like George Soros, David Einhorn, and John Paulson, have all recently taken huge positions in gold. And I think you are crazy not to do the same. How should you do it? There are many options, and my research firm has recently published a great book called The Gold Investor's Bible, which details in full all of the best ways to own and hold gold bullion. In this volume, we reveal dozens of secrets about the gold industry, specifically the best ways to buy, sell, and store your gold. It explains why some gold coins are better than others, how to buy gold with 0 dealer markup, how to easily and safely store some of your gold overseas, very cheaply, where to hide it, and much more. Not regularly available for sale, this book is valued at $24. I'd like to send you a copy totally free of charge. And what about silver? Well, I believe silver will serve a unique role during this currency crisis. Let me explain. For most of recorded history, the price of gold has been around 16 times the price of silver. This ratio, the so-called silver ratio, has fluctuated from time to time based on silver discoveries and attempts by governments to regulate the silver to gold ratio. But in a free market, where demand for silver as money exists, I'd expect the natural supply and demand balance to lead to a silver price around 1/16 the price of gold. Based on the historical ratio, with the price of gold around $1,400, the price of silver should be around $87. Of course, it's not. Today, silver is trading around $27. Today, then, gold is selling for more than 50 times the price of silver. What explains the difference between hundreds of years of history and today? Why is silver still so cheap relative to gold? When silver is demonetized, as it is now, meaning it's not being used for money, but just for industrial purposes, supplies soar as people sell silver for gold and other currencies. On the other hand, during periods of monetary crisis, demand for silver as money pushes the silver ratio heavily in silver's favor. For example, the ratio returned to its historic range during World War I. It happened again in the early 1970s when Nixon abandoned the gold standard. It also happened most famously in 1979-1980, when it seemed as if America was really entering a serious money crisis. Most people don't know this, but silver is actually the best performing asset of this century, not gold. As my friend Chris Weber pointed out in his November 1st newsletter, gold has risen from $256 an ounce to $1,365 an ounce since 2000. That is a rise of 433%. Silver has risen from $4.02 an ounce to $24.96 an ounce. That is a rise of 521%. In short, silver is the best hedge against a money crisis. As the dollar fails, silver will once again be in demand as money. And as this demand materializes, the free market price of silver will likely return to around 1/16 the price of gold. When gold hits $2,000 an ounce, assuming the price of gold is 16 times the price of silver, silver should be worth about $125 per ounce. My multimillionaire friend and currency expert Chris Weber believes silver will likely hit $187 an ounce. If that happens, you could make gains of around 600% if you invest at today's prices. So what are the best ways to buy silver? Well, my firm has done a ton of research on this precious metal. We have found great ways to hold the metal personally, to have it stored in a secure location in the United States or overseas, and more. We've put everything we know into a valuable guide called Secrets of the Silver Market. I'd like to send you this valuable resource, also free of charge. I'll show you how to get it in a second. But first, let me get to the third financial step I recommend you take right now. Step number 3, learn the stock market quitter's secret. If you want the opportunity to make a lot of money during the coming crisis, one sure way to do it is to learn the intricacies of an unusual investment strategy that is now making some investors an absolute fortune. At my research firm, we have been teaching readers this method for several years. And get this, you don't have to buy a single stock to begin using the strategy, and it has nothing to do with shorting. In a nutshell, this is an approach that can enable you to safely extract gains of exactly 100% from the market over and over again without ever owning or touching a stock. Keep in mind, the most you can make using this strategy is 100%. And, as with all investments, there is some risk involved. Also, it's important to note that this strategy will probably not be right for everyone, but it can be so safe and easy. Once you learn how it works, you might decide to never buy ordinary stocks ever again. Like these folks I taught the secret to in recent years. Last March, for example, Peter Koss of Boise, Idaho, quit stocks and used this secret instead. He says he now makes an average of $10,000 per month with his investments. Randy Bowman of Annapolis, Maryland, also quit stocks. So far, he's made over $87,500. Bernard Henderson of Carmel, Indiana, now collects an average of $100 a day. Another investor, Harold Welchick of New Brunswick, New Jersey, has made over $20,000 using this technique. Tim Hewitt from Sacramento probably put it best when he wrote me and said, "This has saved my portfolio." I repeat, to begin using this investment strategy, you do not have to touch the stock market. You do not have to buy anything in the options market either. That's why financial author Lee Lowell writes, "I've been a professional trader for 17 years, but many people have never heard of this strategy, let alone used it. This is a great way to get your hands on instant cash." Pulitzer Prize winning author James Stewart learned this secret recently and said, "These payouts are so rich, I consulted a colleague to make sure they were real." This seldom understood strategy is how we've helped dozens of people make incredible gains, even in a terrible stock market. And in all likelihood, when the stock market gets really bad, as I expect it soon will, This will be an incredibly lucrative and safe strategy. I'll show you exactly how this investment strategy works and how you can take advantage of it immediately starting today. Everything you need to know is in my new report called The Stock Quitter's Secret, the easiest way in the markets to make 100%. As the stock market begins to unravel, this incredible technique will likely get more and more lucrative. And that brings me to step number 4. Make sure you own the one asset that can help save you and your family no matter how bad things get. There's no telling exactly how bad things are going to get as this crisis unfolds. I firmly believe there could be riots, marches in the street, bank runs, massive arrests, and periods of uncontrollable mayhem, at least for several months as things begin to unravel. But the good news is that there is one asset you can own, now widely available in America, which should help protect you and your family from this chaos, and could also likely make you a fortune in the years to come. I'm not talking about guns or bonds or gold or other precious metals or anything like that. And of course, this has absolutely nothing to do with the stock market. What I'm talking about is a very powerful asset that wealthy families have used for centuries to protect themselves and to preserve and build their fortunes. One study tracking this asset shows it has absolutely crushed the stock market between 1970 and 2009 by returning more than 10,000% more than stocks during that period. This investment absolutely destroyed the returns of gold as well, beating it by more than 9,000% over the same period. Look at the gains of the blue line on this chart compared to the returns of stocks and gold. Multimillionaire investor Barton Biggs wrote, "This type of asset throughout history protected both your wealth and your life." During World War II, for example, when millions of families lost their entire life savings through inflation or government seizure, this was the one asset that enabled some families to protect, preserve, and grow their money. What the average American doesn't realize is that many of the richest people in the United States have a significant ownership stake in this asset. The Walton family of Walmart fame, Bill Gates, Ted Turner, the Hilton family, Charles Schwab, Microsoft billionaire Paul Allen, the Hunt family of Texas oil fame, the Hearst family, the Ford family, and more. As I mentioned, you can easily make this investment today here in America. Probably less than 1% of the population owns it today, but it is readily available and fairly inexpensive.